The voice of the city.
98FM's Dublin Talks.
With Adrian Kennedy.
We're live every morning from 10 on 98FM.
This is possibly one of the most heartbreaking stories you'll ever hear on this show. A mother telling us, every night I go into my son's bedroom to check on him and make sure he's not hanging from a rope. Tricia has a 16-year-old son who's being bullied, terrorised and racially abused and targeted by a child on his road who he also happens to go to school with. What makes this story even more terrifying is that Tricia's son has Asperger's. And Tricia joins me on the line. In fact, last week on the show, we spoke with a lady called Amy. It was our second time being on the show. 2 years ago, she was on telling a similar story about how she gets bullied and picked on and so on. This lady was 30 years of age, so she's an adult with special needs, but she gets awful abuse. This child is 15. And Trish, when I heard that you said to our production staff that every night you go to your son's bedroom to check on him to make sure he's not hanging from a rope, I couldn't believe it. That's how bad this is.
That's the effect that bullying has on teenagers. That's how cruel they can be. You know, I'm the last one to bed every night, and I go in, make sure he's in his bed. I wake up probably 2 times a night, and religiously I go in and make sure that he's still where he should be. That's the effect that bullying has on young people these days, and something needs to be done about it.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your son.
He's 15, he's mixed race, he has Asperger's, he doesn't want to be labelled. So he zips it, locks it and puts it in his pocket. The person in question knows about this because they were friends. You know, when secondary school started, they were friends. But it's been used against him now, and it took for him to actually, there was an altercation on Monday just gone, and my son had the savvy to actually hit record on his phone and went straight to the principal. He was threatened that he was going to have his head smashed in. So
what did the principal do? The
principal pulled the both boys into the office, and the child in question couldn't deny it because there was evidence, apologised for what he had said, and the principal made them shake hands and go their separate ways.
Has anything happened since?
Well, Monday afternoon then, coming home from school, said child again had started on a couple of girls, slagging them, and then turned on my son, and first words out of his mouth were, "You half-caste retard." Then it was, "No wonder your real father didn't stick around."
Really?
Now, all while this is going on, this is the first time I have ever had to restrain my son.
So a lot of the abuse centres around his skin colour and the fact that his biological father isn't in his life.
Exactly, and never has been. Never, ever, ever has been. He's had a father figure for the past 10 years since he was 5. I reared him until he was 5 by myself.
Now, this is all being done by one particular child.
It's the same child. Every couple of months, something pops up. Something is said, and then it's just not let go, So after the incident on Monday afternoon, I informed the school. I straight on the phone to the school because I had been playing phone tag with the school all day. And then Tuesday morning, when my son went up to school, said child was outside with a gang of young fellas that he was after going in looking for him to say that he was going to beat him up. So, of course, the young fellas came out thinking they were going to have a show. He tried to block the door to the school. My son pushed past him and went and sought help. I've always told him, if you are in a situation, you find the nearest grown-up, responsible grown-up, and you find help.
Wow.
And that's what he done. So said child was sent home from school for the day.
And you've also approached this child's mother.
I've told her son is a bully, and her exact words were, "He's not a bully, he has loads of friends."
What does that even mean?
Exactly. Last year there was a fist fight. Scott, my son, ended up with a black eye. Mother didn't come near us to, solve the situation, just let it go. That was it. I'm not one for going out on roads and screaming and everything like that. You have a problem, you come to my door. I have a problem with you, I will see you at your door. It's gone beyond a joke now, and that's my biggest fear. That poor lady there a couple of months ago with her young daughter, Coco, I had to pull in when I heard her, and I don't want to have to bury a child. No parent has to bury it. It's our job to look after our children and raise them to the best of our ability. And if they're in the wrong, you pull them up when they're in the wrong and you counsel them.
So the reason you've contacted us is because you are literally at the end of your tether here and don't know what to do now. The school you don't think is doing enough. The parents of this child is doing nothing, doesn't believe their child, or believes their child is an angel. And you're now terrified that the end result of all this could eventually be your child having enough.
Yeah. I've always said to him, when I see that he's down or he's in a really dark place, I'm like, no silly thoughts, we can get through this.
Are you happy or not about the way in which it was dealt with the other day, where they basically had to shake hands and go their own way?
Well, that incident on Monday I don't agree with, because of the past incidences between them. The principal knows the whole situation. She's seen it, go round and round and round. Yeah, it's not the first time they've shaken hands and told to leave each other alone. So that's what kind of ticked me off now on Monday. And then yesterday, when it was about 11:30 when she rang to say that I didn't even know there had been an incident yesterday morning until she had phoned and said that the child had been sent home because of him being the one approaching my son on Tuesday, in the manner in which he did. And like that, it's not nice to see your son walking to school looking over his shoulder.
I have to say, my heart goes out to him. Tell me a little bit. You said he lives with Asperger's. How does that affect his day-to-day life?
Well, he was diagnosed in 2011, and back then he was going to Bernardos and stuff like that, and they helped him with his issues. It was more social interaction because he didn't speak like the average age group. He was his vocabulary and stuff like that. He'd use bigger words and stuff, and kids would kind of look at him weird. But he's learned how to act like, one of his peers. He has brains to burn, and academically he's brilliant, and, he's into music, and he has so much positive things going for him. And that's what we encourage, to keep him on the straight and narrow, to let him have a focus in life of where he wants to go, But when you've got this going on as well, and sometimes it outweighs the positives that he does actually have going for him, because that cloud just comes over again. Where he'll go a couple of months and nothing will be said. Absolutely nothing. But then social media and other people interfering, and it's just, it gets beyond a joke then.
So besides the fact that he lives with Asperger's, you're so obviously deeply concerned about the effect that this sort of bullying is having on him. On his mental health, big time. There's only so much a person can take before they're driven to do something. And who's answerable then? Sort it out now while it can be sorted out. Well, stay there for 1 second. I just want to take in one or two calls on this. Thomas, you're on 98FM. How are you, Thomas? Good. What did you want to say?
Just as I said in my text agent, I have a 4-year-old daughter, right? And I understand that girl is coming from my heart goes out for her. I can't stand any child being bullied, but I have a 4-year-old child agent, a daughter, and I drill it into her head every day to respect everybody, never bully anybody. But if you're being bullied, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think going and seeking teachers' help, obviously it's not doing any good for this child. The only way to deal with a bully is to stand up to them, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Do you know what I mean? That is the only way to deal with a bully, is to stand up to them and just put a stop to it.
And is that a conversation you've ever had with him, Trish?
I've always told him not to use his words, not his fists. I just think once you get that first taste of punching somebody, then it's instilled in you then, to lash out. And I just, I had to hold him back on Monday. I could have let him go. There could have been a fist fight, but I didn't want that.
And I understand that as well, but at the same time, if you're thinking he throws one punch and then he's just going to keep attacking people, to be honest with you, the fact that the bullied, I don't think it'd go that way. I think he's more just so uses punching just to kind of defend himself and not actually be a bully.
And to be honest, it's like this child wants to fight. That's why he keeps going and going and going, because he wants him to react.
Well, I'm not really telling you how to rear your child, but to be honest with you, that's from my point of view, anyways. I think that's the only way to deal with a bully, and put a stop to them. And at the end of the day, that child is putting fear into your child. let your child go and put some fire into him and see how he likes it.
So fight fire with fire is what. Sorry, Thomas. So fight fire with fire is what kids should be taught.
An eye for an eye till we all go blind, Adrian. Do you know what I mean? Like.
All right, stay there for a second. Neve, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Neve.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, Neve. What did you want to say?
Firstly, Trish, I'm so sorry that you're going through this, and I've been exactly where you are. And my daughter did try and hurt herself. And what we did in that situation was, the thing you have going for you is that your son had the intelligence to record those kids. We took the evidence to the guards, and our bullies had a JLO put on them. The guards will listen to you. I know people will say, oh, the guards do nothing. Trust me, they'll listen. And he's a young boy. They'll listen to him. They're not 5. They're not kids. So he's being threatened. Did you say he was actually hit?
Last summer, the end of the school year,
that's assault, Trish. He's been assaulted. So I know it's a hard road, but trust me, they will listen to you. They listened to me, and they listened to my daughter, and my daughter doesn't have additional needs. Your son does. He doesn't, he doesn't have the same level of understanding. And I don't mean that in a patronising way. Sorry,
I understand. Yeah, he's not wise at all when it comes to things.
Exactly, and my daughter wasn't either. And she doesn't even have additional needs. But look, they will listen to you. So if you can go and see your community guard. He'll come to your house. You don't have to take your son in. It's not a big deal or anything. It's not horrible. And they'll sit down with your son, show them everything that has happened, tell them everything that has happened, and they will go and they will help you. And a JLO, it's not the end of the world. It's not a hugely serious thing, but hopefully it will be enough, because the guards will tell them, put another foot out of line, you'll get another one. Put another foot out of line, you'll get a third, and then it's serious. So hopefully, you can't expect your son to deal with it, and you can't be living like this.
Your advice is, rather than on a daily basis checking to see that her son hasn't harmed himself, she needs to involve the guards in this.
I think so. Look, she'll always check. I still check. And it's been 3 years, and I still get worried when my daughter's in a bad mood that it's all starting again. She'll always check, and my heart absolutely goes out to you. But it can be helped, and it will be helped, and my daughter's in a much better place now. You're right in the eye of the storm now, Trish, but I promise you it'll get better. But just get every single bit of help you can, because you can't deal with this on your own. It's too much, and he can't deal with it. He's too young.
And it's not going away, it's not getting any easier, so it's time to involve the police.
Absolutely, and the minute your son raises his hand to somebody else, watch their parents go on you.
Exactly,
just watch them. Just wait for it, because they're waiting for it. That's what the bullies want your son to do.
Yeah.
So that they can turn around and say that he's the bully, and he's not. He's the victim. So,
and I've often wondered about that advice. Fight back and all that. Is that the best advice to give? Yeah, and maybe that is what they want. But another message said, I 100% agree with that guy. I got bullied for years. One day I had enough and hit the main guy, and I got left alone for the rest of the school year. Never got in a fight after that, and they never went near me after that. How do you feel, Trish, about calling the guards?
Well, that was my next step. I promised my son, because he feels so let down by the school as well. I told him, if it does get physical again, then the guards will be involved. Like last year when the punch happened, parents didn't come anywhere near because there was witnesses, and he was, the mother was shouting at us, come get our son. And then the same like this week, because there was evidence of what he had done that couldn't be denied, hasn't crossed my path at all. But yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, like Niamh said, they come screaming, so...
Okay, so going to the guards to deal with this is now your next option.
That's the next on the list. So it is. For my son's own sanity, it's shocking in this day and age where children can be so cruel and be led away with it as well. It needs to begin at home, where they're brought up to respect. That's exactly it. It doesn't matter about skin colour. We're a multicultural country. you know, it's skin colour shouldn't come into it anymore. It's sickening for people to use that, and then it's so wrong on so many levels.
Look, Trish, we're going to keep in touch with you. Let me read a message that's just come in, and it says, my sister had to move house because of the same sort of reasons as Trish. My nephew was only 6 when he was bullied for his Asperger's, both in school and worse on his road. It was horrendous. Just to advise that lady that my nephew, who's now 15, is in a club for teenagers with additional needs, and he loves it. He has Asperger's and is well looked after by staff, and he's lovely friends there. Please advise of this place. I've been asked to give you the name of it off air. I agree that there is not enough being done. I believe the government should step up for all bullying cases and make arrests possible for teenagers and possible jail terms to prevent further cases happening. I mean, this is a problem with teenagers knowing bloody well they can get away with anything they feel like doing. Also, another message says, threatened the school that you will go to the papers. That will scare the school big time. And I know we made a conscious decision today not to name your child and not to name the school that he goes to. But I would be of a mind that if it's not happening, that you do threaten them in that way, that you're going to go to the papers or you're going to name them on the radio, name the school that your child goes to because you believe it's not being dealt with. Mm-hmm. Trish, we're going to keep in touch with you, and I wish you well. I really do. And my regards to your son as well.
That's good. Thanks a million.
The voice of the city.
98FM's Dublin Talks.
With Adrian Kennedy.
We're live every morning from 10 on 98FM.